The phones, we start in Catherine, Wichita, Kansas. Welcome. It's great to have you with us. How are you doing?
Hi. Thank you, Merce, for taking my call. It's a thrill to talk to you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you think President Trump has ushered in an era of winning without the establishment?
Well, that's before I answer that, let me get exactly what you mean by that. What do you mean by winning without are you asking me if I think Trump will be able to succeed without the establishment helping?
Well, no, what I actually meant was in the past, the Republican establishment has always said that we need to hang together, and then here recently they said that they could win without the base. Are we now in an era where the people can win without the establishment?
Okay, do you mean Republican establishment or just the establishment?
The establishment.
Well, we did. I mean, if you want to look at the presidential election as a victory without the establishment, you'd have to say that's what it was. I mean, the establishment was arrayed everywhere the establishment is against Donald Trump. And after this speech today, they're going to stay there. One of two things is going to happen after today's inaugural address. Because if there was any hope on the part of the establishment that Trump was going to moderate, that all of this up to now has just been theatrical for his base voters, and that now it's time for the rubber to meet the road. Now that it's time for the pedal to hit the metal, Trump is going to do what the only intelligent thing is to do, and that's become one of us, and include us, and take our advice, and advance our agenda. And that is not happening. If anything, Donald Trump tripled down today on every theme of his campaign. So we're just going to have to wait and see. One of two things is going to happen. The establishment is either going to, for self-preservation, do what they can to tag along or try to undermine. And frankly, folks, I'm going to vote for try to undermine. And that's not a new prediction. And it's not the result of a new train of thought. I don't know how often most of you had a chance to listen during the campaign. But I spent a lot of time explaining the psychology of the establishment and how they are being affected by Trump's candidacy, and the fact that he just kept winning state after state after state, was not imploding, was not being defeated, wasn't going away. Look, for many of the people in the establishment, what's the best way to describe this? It is the existence of the establishment and membership in it that is 90% of life. What the establishment does is actually ancillary, except for those things that are oriented towards self-preservation, like a bureaucracy. The purpose of a bureaucracy is to maintain itself, and thus bureaucracies do not solve problems. And if they do, they create new ones in the process. Bureaucrats and the bureaucracy never, ever does things in such a way that people could conclude, well, we don't need you anymore. Well, it's the same thing with the establishment, folks. I don't know how best to describe it. The term elite is apropos, and by that, the members of the establishment do think they are better people. They are a higher quality and a higher class of human being, and that is why many of them are condescending to people they consider inferior, and that's why they hold many of the middle class in contempt. It's a character trait of the establishment. It's say the European Union, the same thing there. I mean, the European elites, it's the same psychology. And preserving that establishment is objective number one. And whatever policy and ideas the establishment collectively hold are second and third in importance, but and sometimes it's difficult to separate. I mean, when you're preserving the establishment, there are specific policies designed to do so, like throwing more and more power to the UN, surrendering more and more power, say, over the court system or climate change or what have you, to the UN. That is preserving the establishment while combining an idea or a set of ideas or policies. But the first and foremost thing is the preservation of the establishment. I just can't see them letting Trump. I can't see them abandoning that establishment, who they are and what it means to them, to get on the Trump bandwagon. You know, there's a fairly good analogy for this, and that would be Reagan in this sense. The establishment Republicans never really liked Reagan. They resented Reagan. In his case, it was simply because he was conservative and believed that government's the problem. And, of course, to the establishment, government is everything. It's first, second, third. It's everything. And here comes Reagan as a conservative wanting to de-emphasize it. So they go into protection mode, preserve the establishment, preserve government. And they resented. But Reagan was so popular. He won 2 landslides, 48 and 49 states, that during his term in office, they did everything they could to be part of it. They wanted to be on the White House staff. They wanted to be campaign staff. They wanted to be close to it because they love being close to power and the bright lights shining on it, and they want to be seen. They also want to take the occasion of closeness to try to undermine. And they did try to undermine Reagan any number of ways and times. And when Reagan's 2 terms were over, I mean, he was gone, and they put him on the plane. He went back to California, and they immediately tried to erase all vestiges of Reagan. That's probably what we can expect here. But they can be defeated. They just have been. And right now, the Republicans in Congress are looking at years out, way beyond, even if Trump's 2 terms. The Republicans are set up right now, folks, to be the majority party in the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the Supreme Court for 25 years if they play it right. And in that 25 years, the first 8 maximum are Trump. So I think that they will do whatever they can to maximize party power. If it means helping Trump fulfill his agenda. If Trump remains popular, they're going to be looking at opinion polls like you can't believe, public approval polls. And as long as Trump's there at 50% or hovering near it, they're going to be on board. Don't worry. We'll be here guiding you through this and helping you understand on a daily basis what is happening in regard to all of this. So Chris Matthews at PMSNBC referred to the Trump inaugural address as Hitlerian, or Hitlerian, if that helps you understand. No, I'm not kidding. Chris Matthews described the Trump inaugural address as Hitlerian, or Hitlerian, like Hitler, for those of you in Rio Linda. Telling you, their heads blew. I am sure that there is blood on cameras today as drive-bys, heads exploded out there listening to this.